Are you tired of working for someone else and would rather put all of that passion for interior design into your very own business where you're the boss? Well, I can show you exactly how to start that interior design business for profit, for success, and all for you. We'll raise a glass while we think tank how to bring more joy, more abundance, and more balance into your interior design firm. I'm Sandra Funk, and this is Design Sips. Cheers.
Cheers, Sandra.
Let's do it.
Happy to be here with you today. So we had designers submit their questions around this topic, so let's dive in.
Awesome.
Joe says, I'm very passionate about design and want to work for myself, but I don't know where to start. Any suggestions on how to start my own business?
Absolutely, Joe. And I'm so excited for you because going from working for someone else, toiling away, freelancing, whatever it is that you're doing, to like really taking ownership of your life and having your own business and being your own boss and having all of your effort and all of your struggle and all of your learning and doing be for you is a huge mindset shift, and it really helps you take ownership of your life and control of your destiny. So number one, congratulations. Cheers to you. And then so again, we got down to brass tacks. We work through the functional structure of how to start a business so that you don't miss any of those important details. I'm going to start with the three main items. I'll be much more. You need to have a regular, a CPA, a taxes that guide you, a bookkeeper, a manager, software, and insurance status. Everything is restricted.
Yeah, crucial things. And you actually wrote a blog post, how to start an interior design business.
Yeah, it's big, it's detailed, and it has those are like, that's my like starting point, and then there's layer 3 through 87 and it's all in this blog post, so we will link to that so that you have like the step-by-step.
So let's dive into some of the things that you do cover in your blog post, because I think there's just so many juicy things in here. One thing you note is organizational structure. So for someone who's just starting out, they have to make a couple decisions, working solo, freelance, full-time, if you want to speak to that.
Yes, definitely. So when you're starting your business, you're going to want to start with the end in mind, right? So you're going to want to start thinking like, will I always work alone? Will I always be a solopreneur, or will I eventually have a team, right? You might come out the gate with a team. You might have a virtual assistant who's going to handle administrative. You may have a junior designer that's going to help you with the projects, or you might start on your own and have the intention to add those in as you go. And again, we do have our solos who are solos from the start and intend to be solos all the way through. Like I said, though, you're still going to have your experts on your team that you're going to hire, and most likely you're going to outsource bookkeeping, maybe expediting, doing the purchasing and following up. There's lots and lots of details in interior design, and it is better together. It's always better when you have experts that can help you. And our world has turned into one that is full of incredible experts who can help you on a freelance basis, which means you don't have to take on the stress or strife of bringing someone on full time, but you can get help when you need it, especially when those big, beautiful projects start rolling in.
Definitely. So we just want to remind everyone to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.
If you are new to this channel, then hit subscribe so that we find each other one more time, at least. Cheers to that.
Yes, cheers, and thank you for being here. So Sandra, something you know in your blog post is about financing a business. So you can start a design business very inexpensively, or you can start out with a bang. You started on your own. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so my experience was I kind of put the feelers out that I was going to start my business. It was word of mouth. It was very grassroots, and I got my first client. They gave me my deposit, off the gate, and I took that check and went straight to the bank and opened my first business checking account with that first client deposit. So mine was very like, I'm going to set the intention, and then I kind of started it up once I had that first client. So I was moving very, very slowly in the beginning. It was just me, one client, and I was just, giving them the ultimate service, the ultimate high touch, while I slowly but surely started working on a website and started working on systems and processes, got my banking in place, got my accounting in place, all of those things. So I was like the super slow roll, very little overhead, very slow grow. There are other ways to do it. You can take out a small business loan. You can finance the business with your own money, with your own savings. There's lots of kind of ways to do that, and that you might decide that you want to come out of the gate with more structure in place, with the banking set up, with the website already launched, with social media already launched. Like, you may want to invest first before you get that first client. I used client proceeds to kind of slowly start my business. So there's a million ways to do this. Again, this blog post really walks you through just a couple of different ways that it can be done. But from a service-based business where you have your tools of the trade, and you have your laptop, and you have your local design resources, you really can start a business in interior design pretty low overhead. Or you can launch a studio, hire a staff, get the website and the social in place, and go big right from the beginning. Either way, you're on your own, you're in your own business, you're working for yourself. There's just so much autonomy and pride that comes from that level. So cheers.
Yes, cheers to that.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing you mentioned was, when you first start out, you got to price your services somehow. And you said whether you are just starting out and will charge hourly, or you're coming from a firm with a pricing structure, you're going to emulate, for the love of all things holy, track your data.
Yes. So from the very first day, from the first moment that you start any kind of business, and even if you start out freelancing, a little side hustle, whatever that is, track your data, because you are going to wish you had if you don't, and you are going to be able to use it for an incredible ability to kind of know how to price projects going forward. So here's what you're going to track. Every single minute that you spend on every single project, so track all the time for project A, separately all the time for project B and project C, like that. You are going to track the overall square footage of each project. You are going to track the overall spend on each project. So the budget that the client is spending on furnishings, build, renovate, whatever goes through your firm, you're going to track all of that, the total. And then you're also going to track the total design fee that you charge that client. Be it flat fee, hourly, retainer, complicated, you do you, but the design fee portion, separate of markup, separate of purchasing, how much did you charge for that project? And when you have all of this information, it will really, really help you to understand where you're coming from and where you're going. And of course, also track your markup. So the margin on product. So an easy way to think about that is track how much you spent purchasing those goods and how much you sold those goods for. Total purchasing, total sold. And that'll help you understand where your margins are and where they could be going as well.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And we have a ton of videos on this topic of pricing if you guys want to check them out.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of details on pricing. This is worth doing your research before you just dive in. Like, really do your research, really understand how you want to price your projects, because we talk about this all the time on Design Zips. I'm sure you've heard this example before, but you kind of come out swinging at a level. You kind of have to pick what level of interior design you're going to do, right? So are you going to be cheap and cheerful? Are you going to be super high-end, everything is custom, bespoke, slow and expensive and beautiful in the end? Or are you going to be somewhere right in the middle with custom goods, but not every single thing completely custom made from scratch? So you kind of need to decide where you're going to be in that world. Make sure you have your vendors and your trades, understand your margins and your markups and all of the financial terms around that, and then set pricing that is commensurate with that level that you're going to be providing. Because what I know for sure is that you can't be jumping around, right? It doesn't make sense for you as a firm and as a brand to be offering cheap and cheerful and really high end. You really need to pick a lane and stay in it. And that is how we build a brand and build referability and build repeat clients over time.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So Sandra, before we dive into marketing, which is a huge part of starting a business, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your personal experience, starting with back when you thought you were going to be a tire heiress.
Oh gosh, way back. Okay, so my family... Oh, I need a cocktail. Hold on. Just a second, guys. We'll get there.
And grab your drink, but the story is worth it listening through.
Okay. So when I was young, my grandparents started a business. My father and my aunt started a competing tandem business. They bought into a local competitor. and kind of became one big family business. And my sister and I were the next generation, grandparents, parents, like we were the next generation, and everyone was always just that we were going to be the next generation in this business. And it was large truck tire retreading. Can you picture it? In Detroit. So I was going to college, getting a business degree. I've always been like a math girl, so I was getting a degree in finance, and I was just like planning on going to college, having a blast, and going home and diving into the family business, right? Crazy. So I come home for Christmas my junior year, and my dad's driving to like Christmas Eve at the family's, and he's like, I have an announcement. And we're like, what's up? And he's like, I sold the business. Or he and my aunt. And we were like, excuse me? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be working for the man, like not being the man, right? We were just thrilled for them, shocked, right? And it turns out to be, of course, the best thing that could have ever happened, because we went on to find our true passions and not just kind of stay in the lane of a family business. But I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That had been my destiny. That had been just so ingrained in me. That was just the path that I was on, but I didn't know what now, right? I thought it was large tire retreading, but apparently not. So I went into business process consulting after my finance degree, and I worked for Fortune 500 companies, and I helped them become more efficient and profitable. And then finally, it was around the early 2000s, and I ended up doing web development, usability, so early web design. I helped work on the first interactive web page for GE Capital way back, right? And there weren't design classes for websites yet. And I was living in New York City, and I started going to Parsons School of Design to apply their interior design program to web design, because that's what Anderson was recommending, Accenture, wherever I was working, Accenture at the time. And I just fell down the rabbit hole, fell completely in love with interior design, and left my consulting world, went to work for a bunch of I worked for retail, I worked for the trade-only showrooms, and I worked for a couple of different designers before finally starting my own business in 2005. So that's the story.
Yeah.
Long-winded as it is. But yeah.
Yeah.
Long road.
What an awesome story. And I feel like so many people do come to design as a second career. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting to hear everyone's journey for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I am multiple semesters of design classes. That my husband's job got transferred out of New York, and I ended up getting a job with a designer and getting a job with another designer when I got back to New York, and then started my own firm. So some training, but not another degree in design. And I think there's a way, there's a path. So yeah, follow yours.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And for those people who are working for someone else right now, another designer,
yep.
How did you know? I feel like we get that question a lot, when did you know it was time to start
my own? Mm-hmm. So I worked for two incredible designers, but my husband and I were kind of like finding our path. He took a job in Chicago, we came back to New York, then it's time for us to house hunt, and we ended up out in the suburbs in New Jersey of New York. He was still working in New York City. And so with all these moves, I had worked for these two incredible design firms that I just loved. And had we stayed and not kept moving around, I think I would have stayed with them for much longer. But when we moved out to our, the family home, we were going to start a family soon and all that. And I went to work for someone who shall remain nameless. And it was at that point where I was like, I had learned so much from again, working retail, learning sales, working to the trade showrooms, really understanding purchasing power and how a designer, how it works to purchase for designers and all the things, the markups and the margins and everything. And then these two amazing designers where I saw two different kind of ways to run a design firm. So then I went and worked for someone in the next location, and it was just a flop. It was not my cup of tea, and I felt like I understood the business. I understood basically that I felt that I could do it as well or better than the person that I was working for. And that was my push. That was my decision to just finally say, I'm going to take a shot. I had been working in interior design for about 5 years at that point, and I had been, in consulting and with the finance background for a couple of years before that, and it just felt like it was a great time for me to take a swing. and see if I could make it on my own. So yeah, the first couple years were in good. I was in good shape, but I was just moving real slow. Like I wasn't taking on a lot of expenses early on. But as the project started coming in and started to grow, started hiring an intern, hiring a bookkeeper, started, because I could do my own bookkeeping in the beginning, of course, with my background. But no, it started to grow, and all of a sudden we were developing a website and getting into blogging and onto marketing, right? So I think, yeah, but lots of ways to do it. And then, now it's big library, traveling to the markets, the designers, the team, all the things. So it sure grows over time.
Yeah, it's crazy. What a journey. And, back then when you first started, could you have ever expected, where it would take you? And I know you're a dreamer, you're a big vision person.
Yeah.
But what was unexpected about your journey?
I think what was unexpected? Getting to the point where we were getting so busy, right? Like I think getting to the point where we were finally getting to that place where we were saying, well, we can't take on more projects. Like we're at max capacity, where we were always willing to look at a resume, but not we had our pipeline booked and we were really hand selecting clients. Like getting to that place of being so in demand and just being able to choose our projects and be in that is just, it's a pinch me moment. When I first started, it was, you want me to design a Victorian pool hall? Yes, I will. Like it was, I will take whatever you give me. And very quickly I learned that, you can be more judicious even from the beginning, because again, you're building that brand. You really want to be looking for projects that you can photograph and that will parlay into the next thing and the next thing, in addition to building cash flow when you're young in business.
Definitely. And I think another unexpected part of this journey too, now this part into it, is the way designers started coming to you for your business advice from all your experience.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most surprising is Design Zips was born, 6 years ago.
Yeah, our 6th birthday is this summer, I think.
Is it? Yeah. Crazy. So born about 6 years ago, and it came from my internal team, my marketing department internally, telling me that everything is going to video and we're going to move to video. We got to do it. And I was like, sure. And they were finally like, we're going to put a drink in your hand and ask you design questions, because it was supposed to be design. It was supposed to be for end users. And then what was really surprising was that most of the questions that were being sent in were coming from designers about how I had built the business or what I do or how I handle and all the things. And so it became clear to me that there was a community of designers that would really benefit from sharing and having that conversation. And so eventually we just pivoted to where Design Zips is about the business of interior design and really not about what height you should hang your art, which is one of my favorite topics to do a Design Zips episode on, but I digress.
Yeah. So, which, if you scroll really far back on our YouTube page, you could probably find that one.
Yeah, right? You gotta go way back. The archives are hysterical. Like bad lighting, just every, and you know me, every hairdo, every hair color. You can see the seasons of change as you go.
Yes. So we want to know, where are you in your design journey? Comment below and tell us.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd love to hear where you are. Thinking about it, just getting started, maybe hiring a few people. Do you have your dream team, lawyer, CPA, and insurance carrier in place yet? Because that's the first thing you gotta do.
Yes. And our next episode is how to know when to hire. So keep a look on.
Nice. Yes. So if you're still on your own and you're starting to feel that things are getting really busy, this is more than one person can handle, how to know when to hire is really, really important.
Yeah,
check it out.
Okay, so we'll jump into marketing, and one of the things you say is you need to figure out who you will serve. Who is your dream client archetype?
Love it.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so a dream client archetype is your one ideal client. And so when you're just starting a business, this is a dream. This is a brainstorming session. And what you really want to do is say, who are you serving? who, like I said before, is it going to be cheap and cheerful, kind of up the middle custom, but not 100%, every single thing is made from scratch? Or are you like the highest of the high? You're going to have craftspeople making things straight out of your head, and nothing will be, something that someone else can get. Like those are kind of like my approachable, high-end, and absolute luxury off the charts, right? Those are kind of the levels I think of as interior design. And by the way, all design is luxury because obviously someone can go and buy their own furniture. So just please think of yourself as a luxury service right from the get-go. But then who's that person? Who's that archetype that you're going to design for? Are they an empty nester? Are they a double income, 2 kids and a dog? Are they world travelers with yachts and jets? Fun. So just really put it out there. Do the dreaming and the scheming. And of course, when you're just in the beginning, dream and scheme in a way that you think that your contacts and your connections could drum up some interest in this, right? A lot of times when we're first starting a business, our ideal client looks a lot like us. They might be similar in age, they live in a similar place, they value similar things, right? So my ideal client is a family that has 2 children and a dog. And it's funny because the dog is so important because it really means that they value home, that they're home, that they want to make memories, that it's just like, you can see that there's this, this focus on home when you have a pet. And the kids and their careers help because they're so busy that they want me to be the expert. They want to have a gorgeous home. They want it to be highly functional and beautiful, but they want me as the expert to handle it. And that works best for me from a process and moving the projects along. Like that is really my ideal. It's how I love to work. So all of these things are, you have to kind of figure out. You have to do the soul searching and the thinking through of who do you want to serve? Who are you creating this business for? And once you know who that archetype is, then all of your marketing needs to speak directly to that one ideal client. So you want to get to know them to the point where you understand, why are they calling you? What are you going to solve for them? What is their pain point? That their house feels like it's empty, white, and boring, or that they don't feel comfortable having friends over and entertaining, or their husband is wanting to have, the boss and the colleagues over and they can't even imagine bringing them into this house. It just they haven't given it a thought. It doesn't reflect them at all. It's some old furniture hand-me-downs from the family, right? Or is it a desire? Is it that they really want to live in a beautiful home that reflects them and that is custom to them and unique and interesting and comfortable, right? So deep, their fears and their desires is really where you want to get inside their head and understand them so that your language when you're marketing can help solve that problem, can help make that wish come true, whatever it is. So we go so much deeper into all of this in other Design Tips episodes, so definitely take a peek around. I think there's like a whole marketing playlist, but this is one of the things that you need to do early on in your marketing exploration. You really need to understand who you're going to serve, the level you'll serve them at, and again, that all ties into pricing, it ties into marketing, it's everything. It really does tie into your processes even, right? You're jet setter with the 5 houses who's never in the same place twice. The kids are grown and off to off in the world. They don't want to sit down and meet with you 5 times to go over the design. They want to have a call, tell you what they're thinking, like they've got 5 other houses they're worried about and world travel to do. So you really need to know who you're dealing with so that you can have processes, pricing, marketing, all be tied in to that ideal client.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's such good advice.
Okay.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Alrighty, so just want to remind everyone to check out that blog post, How to Start an Interior Design Business.
Yes, it is the crux of everything. Like I'm a little scattery all over in this Design Tips episodes. My apologies, but there's so much. There's more than I could possibly sit here and tell you with a cocktail in my hand. So this is the tip of the iceberg. It's just a taste of some of the things you need to be thinking about, but the blog post really identifies it step by step by step. and all the different categories. So please go check that out if this is in your world and coming up for you.
Alrighty, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers. I'll see you next time.